What's up, guys? It's Russo with Backdoor Fantasy Sports. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend so far. It's Saturday. NBA picks are out. If you wanted to jump into some NBA plays, I've already got those posted. But we're here to talk about NFL Sunday. This is my favorite video of the week. I know that they're the longest. It's the longest video of the week, but it's just because we cover a lot, because we have a lot of options here with NFL Sunday. So I've got a 6-man as usual on Prizepicks that I'm going to break down, and then we've got a 5-man ladder slip that I'm really excited for, and I'm going to be making a bunch of ladder slips this week. But this is where I'm at currently. So let's talk about the plays here. So for Prizepicks, we have a lot of fantasy score on this, but you're just gonna have to deal with it if you don't like fantasy score. I'm sorry. Starting us off, we got Michael Wilson over 13 fantasy score, taking that for more. All of these are for more. TreVeyon Henderson taking his fantasy score 12.5. Trey McBride 18 fantasy score, absolutely. Jameson Williams 12.5 fantasy score, yep, taking that as well. And then going Jaxon Smith-Njigba, going to take his first half receiving yards. I'll explain to you why I like this just a little bit more than the full game receiving yards, but I do think that, he's probably going to cash it again. But just in case, I think he's going to hit this 49.5 receiving yards in the first half. And then we're going to wrap it up with Maquise Brown. Over 5 fantasy score, which is just like the low-hanging fruit. He's just cashed it like a bunch, so we're just going to take that because it is really low for him, even though he doesn't like crush that, but I think that 5 he's good to go. So for the ladders play, if you guys haven't played ladders, it's on Underdog. It's one of their original games, and they give you 3 different tiers for different players. They only allow like yardage plays, so passing, rushing, receiving. And then as you hit each tier, your multiplier goes up. I love that Underdog is just like, they make the best types of fantasy games. So like for Travis Kelce, for example, that's the first play we're taking. 40 yards, 57 yards, 100 yards. So if all of these guys hit their first tier, you get 2.5x. If all of them make it to the middle tier, which is kind of like the going rate that you're going to see on most platforms, then it jumps up to 10x. But where the real magic is if they can hit these top tiers, if all 5 of them hit, it goes from 10x to 1000x. So it's a lot of fun. You guys should check it out for sure. But let's talk about the plays here. So Travis Kelce, 40, 57, 100. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, we're going, it's 70, 97. Yeah, 70, 97, and then 150. So he'd have to have a big game to hit that 150, but he's totally capable of doing it. He's already done it this year. Jameson Williams, we got 45, 65, and 130 receiving yards. Again, he would need a pretty big game, but he could totally do this. He's playing at home. Michael Wilson, 40, 58, and 110. And then we're going to take Greg Dortch here just because we really like the low line we're getting. So 15 yards, 29 yards, and then 70 yards. So 70 would be a pretty big game for Dortch, but not that big. With the way Jacoby Brissett has been playing, throwing the ball like 45 times a game, going up against Jacksonville, I think this is totally doable. So we're hoping that we can hit that 1000x, have ourselves a killer Sunday. So yeah, if you have not signed up for Underdog yet, make sure it's available in your state. It's available in most states at this point. And then use code BACKDOOR, and they're going to give you $100 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. They also do a deposit match you could look into. It updates a lot. So but check into the deposit match when you're making your first deposit, because you want to take advantage of those things, stack up your bankroll. If you're going to be depositing anyways, might as well take advantage of the match. So yeah, $100 in bonus funds when you use code BACKDOOR. And then Chalkboard, you get a free pick plus 100% deposit match when you use code BACKDOOR. Chalkboard's awesome, mobile only, killer interface. It's just, they're constantly running specials, discounts and boosts every day of the week. And then they have a ton of alt lines if you're like me and you like making these YOLOs. So code BACKDOOR. And then last but not least, we've got Sleeper. If you guys play fantasy football, you know what Sleeper is, but if you haven't tried their picks option yet, it's a lot of fun. And then you get a free $20 entry when you use code BACKDOORFS. Just remember to put the FS on the end there so you can for sure get the $20 entry. That's my code. Just think fantasy sports. So BACKDOORFS. And then if you sign up for anything with my codes, hit me up at the email below. And I want to give you a free month in our premium Discord as well. So yeah, let's get into it. Gosh, I love this time of the week. We have all these games to look forward to. So let's start with Michael Wilson. So in case you missed it, He absolutely went nuts last week. 185 yards, got a ton of targets. Jacoby Brissett has brought this offense to life, and I'm just like, Kyler, you can see yourself out at this point. I'm sorry, I've been like defending Kyler forever. If you watch the show regularly, you're probably sick of me talking about Kyler every week, but yeah, it's been an absolute disaster. The dude has talent, but his attitude has just sucked the whole time. And so Jacoby Brissett has brought this whole thing to life. We've got no real viable running back situation here for the Cardinals. Even Trey Benson, who was the backup to James Conner, he's not going to actually be playing this week. I mean, yeah, you've got Marvin Harrison Jr. out. So that being said, he popped off for 185 yards against San Francisco in a game that they lost terribly, 41-22. But take a look at these targets. 18 targets. He pulled down 15 of them. I've been waiting for Michael Wilson to break out. I've always thought that he was a little underrated. And so far, I mean, like with Brissett, it's been kind of trending up a little bit anyways. But yeah, we can't ignore this 18 targets. It doesn't mean that he's going to just have 18 targets again this week. But Brissett has been slinging the ball. I'm pretty sure in this game, Brissett may have set the all-time record for most completions in an NFL game. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, he just had, I think he had like 45 completions or something crazy like that, not even just attempts. So yeah, we're loving this. The matchup, 16th in receiving yards allowed, about 141 a game, just to wide receivers. Overall, it's even heavier than that. So 25th in receiving yards allowed, about 247.3 per game. That's any given team is what Jacksonville's allowing. Any given team is putting up about that much. But Brissett has just been playing just a lot of plays. In fact, let's look at this over-under here because there's a lot to consider here with this game. There should be a lot of magic here. 47.5 is the over-under, so decent. And then Jacksonville's favored by just 2.5. They're playing at home where they played last week when Brissett was just slinging it to everybody. But you got pretty much three options. You have Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, and Trey McBride. So that being said, Trey McBride, he's an incredible tight end, but he's not one of those tight ends that sort of lines up like a wide receiver. He's capable, but my point is this average yardage is not something that Trey McBride and Michael Wilson are going to have to split in regards to what's going to wide receivers. We'll get into that when we talk about Trey, but I'm feeling really good about the upside here. And then the fantasy score, I feel great about as well. If we're just looking at the receiving yards, since we're talking about the ladders somewhat right now, we can see pretty decent hit rate. You had Nico Collins just pop off on November 9th for 136 receiving yards when his line was just set at 59.5. Since we are taking the fantasy score on Prizepicks, let's just take a look there. Keep in mind, Michael Wilson didn't even score a touchdown last week, and he put up 33.5 fantasy score. So full point PPR on Prizepicks, didn't hit a touchdown and still had 33 fantasy score. So I think he can get us 13 in this game that's supposed to be close, playing at home, and they're supposed to, I mean, they're projected to lose it just barely, by a field goal. So there's a good chance that it's going to be competitive going back and forth. Jacksonville is actually number 1 in offensive plays per game. Cardinals are number 2. So top 2 teams playing each other as far as volume goes, and that's what we want. We want a lot of plays. So I love this play. I probably made my point by now. I think he has the upside to hit that top tier, and I think he's totally good to go on the low and middle tiers. So make of that what you will. If you wanted to take something else of his, like his receiving yards or something on Prizepicks, you can do that as well. All right, so our boy Trey McBride, I just feel I could cry like watching this dude break out because as a Cardinals fan, it's been rough, and I've been waiting for Trey to get his run, and here he is. They said he couldn't get touchdowns. Look at this. He's got, what is that? 6 touchdowns, right? 6 touchdowns in the last 5 weeks. It's just beautiful. So Jacksonville, touchdowns allowed, 2.8 overall per game, ranked 21st, and then to tight ends, 30th. Just about a touchdown per game to any given tight end. Let's look at that receiving yards matchup like we talked about, because we saw the matchup for wide receivers. So 247.3 we said overall. Now let's look at tight ends. Well, they also give up a lot to tight ends. So they're 30th in receiving yards allowed to tight ends. That's why I say it doesn't have to cut into Michael Wilson's share, because tight ends across the board are putting up yards against Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville is a good team though. Don't get me wrong. Their defense, I think, is really good. That's just, they're solid against the run. They're sort of a pass funnel. And but this is the type of team that can fix their problems pretty quick. But you do have Travis Hunter, who is also playing defense. He's on IR. I'm not sure how banged up they are besides that, but I'm just saying it doesn't mean that Jacksonville can't figure it out. But I feel I love this matchup regardless. So let's see here. Let's look at what some tight ends have been doing. Receiving yards wise, yeah, Dalton Schultz, Brock Bowers, and Michael Mayer all cash theirs. So when you look at this part of Outlier, it's showing you whatever you're on. Like we're on receiving yards right now. It's showing you past props, which I love this feature. It shows you past props that were available recently and whether or not they cashed to each position. So tight ends have been cashing their props. Wide receivers, we looked at that. A couple of these guys popped off. A couple of these guys missed. But let's take a look at the fantasy score real quick. Whoops. Go back. Here we go. So we already talked about the touchdowns. Good matchup for touchdowns, receiving yards, and then just fantasy score overall. We're going to take a look at this too, because Trey's been crushing this. Almost 28 fantasy score against San Francisco and Seattle. Both of those games they lost by a lot. So that's probably why Jacoby Brissett is passing the ball so much. But yeah, 4 out of his last 5 games, he's cleared this 18. I know 18 is high, guys. I get it. So you don't have to take this if you don't want, but I'm rolling it because I think he's good to go. If we look at some of these past, I say that they don't have the tight ends listed for this. So actually, we're not going to look at that. Let's keep it rolling. We got a long video here. All right, TreVeyon Henderson. Now, Ramondre Stevenson is listed as questionable, but it's sounding like he's going to play. Mike Vrabel said that he had a good practice. He was limited on like Wednesday and Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. And then he got a full practice on Friday. And so he's kind of trending towards playing, and Mike Vrabel sounds like he's going to be good to go. And Vrabel is sort of an old school coach in the sense that it would be tough after 2 really good outings for him to just go right back to having Ramondre lead the backfield. But this feels a little bit like a Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard type situation where, maybe they just list Ramondre as the starter if he is back. But I mean, TreVeyon has been going nuts. I think he has 5 touchdowns in the last 2 games. So yeah, most recently against the Jets, 32.3 fantasy score, and then 28 fantasy score against Tampa Bay. That is saying a lot against Tampa Bay because while they're more of a pass funnel on defense, they're really tough against the run. So yeah, him putting up 28 is beautiful. If we look at past fantasy score props, you have Kyle Monungai went for 22.8 when his line was set at 16. Breece Hall back in October went for 32.86 when his line was set at 15. So we see guys have been able to crush in this matchup. And I mean, I forget to mention it's Cincinnati, so TreVeyon should be good to go. 12.5 is insulting with what he's been doing. And then Ramondre should be good to go too, even if they both play. I think at worst it'll be a 60-40 split with TreVeyon leading the way. But I think that they're just going to be able to eat against this. There's so many plays for this game that you can capitalize on. Let's look at this over under. I'm guessing it's probably pretty high. Yeah, 49.5. Even with the Patriots favored by 7.5, playing in Cincinnati. Now we got Joe Flacco, who can make things competent. Has made this offense competent, but you have Jamar Chase is out because he spit on an opponent, which is like, can we just stop with the spitting? Can we stop doing that, guys? But yeah, he's suspended for this game. So T. Higgins should be. It's either going to be the type of thing where T. Higgins gets a ton of volume and does great, or it's like he's the only guy that the Patriots focus on, or they put an emphasis on that, and Joe Flacco is going to have to spread the ball out elsewhere. We also have a chance that Joe Burrow plays. He's back. He's supposed to be back soon, if not this week, next week. But that's great to hear because that was a bummer that he got injured, so early on in the season. So yeah, Patriots are running hot, 9-2. Bengals 3-7, playing in Cincinnati. yeah, I think this should be a solid game for fantasy across the board. I think that about covers it. Little like lean play. I like Hunter Henry this week as well. But yeah, I think that they're going to get up, and I think TreVeyon is definitely getting a touchdown. That's just me, but I feel like he's good to get in the end zone. Should be able to just have his way. Let's look at the matchup here before we move on. I feel like I got to calm myself down a little bit. I drank a bunch of coffee, a little too hyped right now. So yeah, 32nd in rushing yards allowed, bottom of the barrel, about 160 a game, any given team. And then to running backs, 32nd, 137.5 is what any given running back is doing here. TreVeyon has 4 straight games of going over 49.5 rushing yards. Let's see what some past running backs have done here. So yeah, pretty solid. Kyle Monangai, that was that game that he went absolutely nuts, 176 rushing yards when his line was 72.5. You had Kenneth Gainwell, who really receives the ball more than anything, but he beat his rushing line too, doubled it up. It was at 12.5, he went for 24. Yeah, Breece Hall, 133 in that game. His line was at 65.5. Isaiah Davis in the same game went for 65 yards when his line was at 12.5. So beautiful matchup. He and Ramondre should be able to eat. But yeah, to me, I want that touchdown upside because I think he'll hit his yards too. But if he gets in the end zone, we're halfway there to cashing already. So, all right, Jameson Williams. Things have been looking great over the last 5 weeks, other than this one game against Tampa Bay. But what's his name? Mike Campbell? Is it Mike Campbell? Dave Campbell? Mike Campbell? Their coach. He's an awesome coach. He took over play calling duties in this game against Washington here. And their offense was looking pretty decent. Let me close this little extra thing. We don't need that right now. Their offense was looking pretty decent. Still putting up a decent amount of points, but there's rumors that he didn't like the way Jameson Williams was being used. And you can see this, or being utilized. You can see he had this big game here against Chicago. It's not as crazy. Like 108 is great, but that's also because he popped off on a big play. It wasn't that he was just getting a ton of volume. His average yards per reception in that game was 54 yards per reception because he only had 2 receptions. And one of those went for 64 yards. So that's kind of what I think we have the chance of happening here against the Giants. But you can see as far as receptions go, when things were sort of trending up, and then we had this dip here, and then once again, I mean, not too bad, but that's when I think Campbell was like, I'm going to take back over. And then we got back-to-back games with 7 targets at least. And he went 6 of 7, and he went 4 of 7. But his average yards per reception are pretty solid. In these games since Campbell took back over, almost 20 yards per reception against Washington in the first game of him play calling. And that was a blowout, 44-22. And it's like Campbell's the type of guy that he likes to end strong. Even if they're up by a lot, he'll just keep the gas on, you know? So almost 20 yards per reception, and then 22 yards per reception against Philly. And that's a tough matchup. So he ended with 88 against Philly, and then 119 against Washington. Matchup, beautiful. 21st in receiving yards allowed to wide receivers, 28th, so about 165. So we like the opportunity here with ladders for him to hit that low line, but potentially get us over the top. Let's take a peek at it real quick. So 130. So it would be a big game, obviously. So 45, 65, and 130 for that. Let's go back to it. Yeah, so it would be, if he hits that 130, it would be his best game of the year. But they're going to crush the Giants. We've got a 50.5 over under. Yeah, Detroit favored by 13.5, playing at home. But I just don't think that matters for Jameson, for his usage, because like I said, this game against Washington, 44-22, and he had a huge outing, 119. So we need him to do a little bit better than that even. But let's take a look down here, receiving yards wise. See what some guys been doing. Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, all cashed. Dontavian Wicks didn't play much, but he didn't cash his. Luther Burden, He went off for 51 when his line was 10.5. We got Roma Dunze, 86 yards when his line was 49.5. So yeah, we would need him to really pop off for us. And I think most of this damage would be done in the first half. So we need him to have an even bigger first half. Let's look at what he's been doing in the first half. So he had 59 receiving yards in the first half against Philly. What I think this is going to come down to for us to hit this 130 is we're going to have a big play. We're going to have a one play like against Chicago where he pops off for like 60 plus yards, maybe for a touchdown. All that being said, when we talk about the fantasy score for Prizepicks, I think this is totally good to go. He's been getting touchdowns over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, the fantasy scores looked great. 4 out of his last 5 games. Touchdowns wise, let's see what it's looked like. Yeah, 4 touchdowns. So a touchdown in each of those games. So 3 straight games with a touchdown. So we look at the matchup. New York is allowing more than 1 touchdown to wide receivers every single game. They're ranked 22nd, 1.1. Overall, 3.2. So I think the fantasy score is good to go, and I think we'll need a big play. But the upside is there, and that's what you're aiming for with ladders. All right, Jaxon Smith-Njigba. So Torrey Horton's out, kind of irrelevant for Jaxon Smith-Njigba. But the reason I like the first half is because I think this game could really get out of hand quick. And Seattle likes to start hot. They come out guns a-blazing every single game, and it's JSN. So we got a 40.5 over-under. See, they're not even expecting this to be that high scoring. 40.5 over-under with Seattle favored by 12.5, playing on the road against Tennessee. So if we look at his regular receiving yards, let's just go 2025 overall. So it's set pretty high. I think even on Prizepicks, it's at like 97-ish, 98. He'll probably get it. But yeah, he in these games that are closer, he went for 105, 19 to 21 against LA. And then 44 to 22, he didn't cash it against Arizona because they are resting him in the fourth quarter. He's having an absolutely incredible year, and he's on pace to just, I mean, he's the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football by a lot right now. And I think that they're like kind of wanting the best of both worlds, where they're letting him just continue to pad his stats, but like at the same time, they're not going to risk it if they're up by a lot. He just sits for the fourth quarter. So that's what I think could end up happening here. At the same time, he could come out and just dominate and have the best game of the season. So I do like it for ladders. I like the upside because it is there. But for just a regular play, I'm going first half because, yeah, it looks solid, 2025. But then when you go to the first half receiving yards, you can see he gets a lot done in the first half. So probably similar. They're probably both going to cash. I just decided to go first half just in case. So they are ranked 30th in receiving yards allowed, 167.4 to wide receivers. Overall, 20th, 235.9. And I think it would be much worse than that if teams weren't just kind of running the ball in the second half because they get up by so much. So yeah, we got this at 49.5. It's looking like a lot of platforms have it at 55.5, so you're getting a discount there. But yeah, 5 straight games of getting it done in the first half. 2 of those games, he went for 117 and 119, 82. Like he gets a lot done in the first half. Most of his work is done there, unless it's the type of game that stays competitive and then they need to keep him active. Let's see here. So look at this matchup here. So this is what any given wide receiver has been doing in the first half to Tennessee. So that's another thing. They're giving up a lot in the first half. You've got 2 misses of all these props for first half receiving yards for wide receivers. Everybody's cashing. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm going to go ahead and just take the first half instead of the full, but I like them both to hit, to be honest with you. All right, so let's wrap up the Prizepicks slip with Hollywood Brown. Like I said, this is the low-hanging fruit. This is his last 10 games, 90% hit rate. It doesn't take much for him to get 5 fantasy score on Prizepicks. It's full point PPR. So we need, what would that be? 3 catches for less than 10 yards a catch would get us there. 2 catches for like 15 yards a piece would get us there. I think I guess that would probably push, but he's gotten at least 8 in 9 out of his last 10 games. So, and I do like this matchup because we've got Indianapolis who, where are we at here? Who is going to keep this game competitive? This probably has a, a high over under. It does. 49.5 point over under. Kansas City favored by 3.5 playing in Kansas City. So the thing, man, you guys know how I am about Alec Pierce. I wanted to take his receiving yards so much, and I'll probably still throw it in a ladder slip because he's got the highest average yards per catch in the league right now. And he took that crown last year too. He just wasn't getting as much volume. Well, now he's getting a lot more volume, and he's still holding that down, averaging like almost 23 yards per catch. So you can stack your receiving yards pretty fast with Alec Pierce right now. This is a tough matchup against Kansas City, but he tends to thrive in tougher matchups. He gets more targets. It takes more effort for them to, win the game. It's just more competitive. So there's more volume there. I think that Kansas City is going to be focused on Jonathan Taylor. They've got to focus, and they're usually, Steve Spagnuolo is usually the type that looks for your number one weapon and tries to focus on removing that from the equation. Good luck with JT. Try stopping him. But here's the kicker. Daniel Jones dealt with a little bit of a fibula injury throughout this week. So they're saying he's good to go now, but it was later in the week. So if he's dealing with a little bit of an injury, Kansas City is good about putting pressure on quarterbacks. It just made me a little bit nervous. But I still like Alec Pierce a lot this week. And I thought about it's a bummer that I decided not to take him, but you could take that instead if you don't want this Hollywood Brown. But my point is, this is not the type of play that crushes all the time. It's just consistent. Like if you look at his targets, you could take those 3.5 receiving targets if you want to. Then he doesn't have to catch the ball at all. But yeah, I mean, it's just, that's what he does. He comes out and he gets like a catch a quarter, or, like a target a quarter. But he's actually pretty efficient with his opportunities. If you look at the receiving yards, that's just on 4 targets a game. Against the Chargers, came out and went for 99 when the matchup they're ranked second against wide receivers. So like Hollywood Brown's got the upside. They just don't have to do a whole lot. They spread the ball out a lot. We also have Rashee Rice back, and we're seeing that he's still involved here. So 5 fantasy score, it's easier for us to get there. I thought about I'll probably throw him into a ladder slip too, because I think that the high for him is like 70 yards for the top tier. So this might be the perfect game for that if we got a high scoring game that stays competitive. But for fantasy score, give me 5 all day. I'll take it. All right. So getting into just what's left over on the ladders slip, we've got Greg Dortch here. Very similar situation to Michael Wilson. We got Marvin Harrison is out. He did great last week. Now this is the type of guy who gets short yardage looks, and then he's kind of fidgety and stuff. He can bounce around like undersized wide receiver. Great hands, more physical than you would expect for his size, but pretty decent with just extending the plays. If you think like Pop Douglas or Josh Downs type, Josh Downs is a little bit more physical than Dortch, but yeah. So last week, Dortch had 66 yards with Marv out, and he did that on 6 targets. He pulled down all 6 of them. If you look here, he's had 1 missed opportunity all season. So not a whole lot of volume, but the entire season, 4 of 5 he went in that game. Other than that, he's caught literally everything thrown his way. So the opportunity will be there, going against Jacksonville, playing from behind, playing at home, coming off of a great week, So I like the upside here for him to hit this high mark. I believe it's at 70. I think he can get us there. Because let's see. Yeah, similar situation, about as soft of a matchup. But maybe they're just running with a little bit of momentum. Even though they lost that game, it was still like a high volume game for everybody. So we're going to take Dortch in the ladder slip as well as Michael Wilson. And then to wrap up the ladder slip, we've got Travis Kelce here, who is the tight end 3 for fantasy. Very impressive. He's been a lot more involved lately. He's got this beautiful matchup here against Indy. And for the same reason that we like Hollywood Brown competitively, that this could be like a high scoring sort of shootout type game. We know both of these offenses can put up points. I like him to be involved and have to stay involved throughout the game. We also have Isaiah Pacheco is out this week. So Kareem Hunt probably going to get some extra love. Brashard Smith, both of those guys will see a bump. But I think this is going to be like a shootout. So yeah, overall 255.3 receiving yards per game is what Indy is giving up. While they're playing great, teams do have an opportunity. You just got to keep up with Indy is the thing. Their defense is decent, but they do allow a decent amount through the air. And then to tight ends, very soft, 31st in receiving yards allowed. About 72.6 receiving yards per game is what Indy is allowing. And I think a big part of that is because teams are playing from behind most of the time. If we come down here and take a look, tight ends have been cashing their receiving yards against them. Like we had Darnell Washington, the giant over in Pittsburgh. The dude is like so massive. I think he's like over 300 pounds, like 6'8" or something crazy like that. But he went for 43 yards. His line was set at 10.5. You got Jonnu Smith, same game. His line was at 23.5. He went for 25. Pat Freiermuth, 27, when his line was 18.5. Gunnar Helm for Tennessee, 23. You can see Chigakonkwo. These guys are all eating. Oronde Gadsden, that's when he had his game of the year, 164 yards. His line was at 25.5. Don't you wish we had him in ladders that week? Did we? Maybe we didn't. I think we probably jumped on it the week after. Trey McBride, he cashed his. Elijah Higgins in the same game, the backup tight end for the Cardinals, he cashed his. So Kelce has a soft spot here, matchup-wise. And then the targets have been there. Last week, he had 13 targets, pulled down 9 of them. But it's been pretty efficient over the last 3 games. We got 8 targets, 5 targets, and 13. This game against Buffalo, they ended up losing that game. But yeah, I think that this will be an opportunity for him to definitely have some targets. We'll see how it goes. But if we're going to take a shot on a ladder slip with some upside, he just had 91 last week, 66 before that, and then 99 against Washington. So I like the upside here. And I think that his high line was just at 100 for him to hit. So it's right there. It's not asking too much. Now let's see. Oh yeah, bonus play. I'm gonna tell you guys one more play that I do like is Sean Tucker. We took him in ladders last week and he crushed for us. We needed him to get like over 49.5 rushing yards. He hit his top tier. He went for like 105, I think. Let's see, 106. This dude is not getting the credit he deserves. Bucky Irving is out this week again, but he's absolutely taken over this backfield until Bucky gets back. Like I think he surpassed Rachaad White. This matchup against New England is tough. They're first in run defense for rushing yards allowed, and he had 9 rush attempts and averaged 5 yards a carry. 5.9, so almost 6. And then the following week, he had the soft matchup against Buffalo, which we targeted, and he had the same 5.6, but the rush attempts jumped up a lot. He went up to 19 rush attempts and just stayed efficient, put up 105 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns. This dude is explosive. Go watch the film from last week on Tucker, and you'll see like, okay, this dude's got some juice. I talked about it last week. He was like supposed to be a high draft pick coming into the NFL, and he dealt with a little bit of an injury that dropped him down draft boards. And now he's playing behind Bucky, and it's just kind of been that situation. But I told you guys last week, I said last year he had a game where he went for 37 fantasy score. Then he came back out that Sunday and popped off 37 fantasy score. He can catch the ball well. He's faster than people give him credit for. He's physical, and he's not the most undersized guy. He's right in that sweet spot, 5'10", 5'11" for running backs, and just over 200 pounds. I think he's like 210, 215, something like that. But very physical, and he seems 100%. Now, we are going up against the Rams, which is tough. 11th in rushing yards allowed to running backs. They're ranked 7th, 77 rushing yards allowed. But guys are getting through here. Look at how many plays are cashing. Zach Charbonnet beat his rushing yards. Kenneth Walker, same game, beat his. Brian Robinson beat his. Christian McCaffrey didn't, but probably caught the ball a lot. Devin Neal, backup running back in New Orleans, he beat his line just barely. But my point is, guys are hitting their rushing yards. with what Vegas is setting these lines at, guys are hitting them. So just as a little bonus play, I'm not going to take it for ladders because I think his line's set at like 100-ish maybe. So I don't think he's necessarily going to run the ball for 100 yards against the Rams, but maybe his fantasy score. Let's see what that's sitting at. Sean Tucker fantasy score 9.5. Yeah, I'd take a chance on that. So he went for 34. In my league, he went for 37 for Dynasty. And he's starting again this week. So I think he's a solid start, and I think that he'll get the opportunities. All right, let's jump into some bonus plays here. We're going to start with Prizepicks. And if you guys want this app for yourself, you can get it for a week for free, a little test run, link down below. And then if you guys want the DFS optimizer for yourself, this that we're about to dive into, code Backdoor gets you 25% off. Lock it in for as long as you want, all the way up to a year. It's great for NFL, great for basketball. Just puts plays on your radar that you might not catch otherwise. And when the platforms are slipping and they set a line too low, the optimizer is going to catch it and tell you, hey, go get this right now. And you can see what all the other platforms have that line at. And a lot of times it's gone in 5 minutes. So you want this for yourself. All right. So starting us off here for Prizepicks, we got Matthew Stafford fantasy score. They like it over, almost 62% odds to hit. We got Christian McCaffrey fantasy score. They don't like it. They've got the under, 24.5. That's the Monday night game anyways. But yeah, if you guys want a little heads up on that, I'm not taking Christian McCaffrey under. I'm just not. Kirk Cousins fantasy score over. They like it over 13, 57.56. Man, these quarterbacks in that range of Kirk Cousins, these guys, when they fall off hard, don't they? Aaron Rodgers, props to him. He's still looking solid when he's healthy, but yeah. All right, Jared Goff fantasy score over 17.5, 55% odds to hit. Jahmyr Gibbs under 20 fantasy score, 55.14. Again, not something that's just a fade to me. I'm not taking that under. If I faded it, I think that he might exceed that. So Cody Barton for Tennessee, tackles plus assists. They like him over 6.5, or no, under 6.5, 54.81% odds to hit. I'm going to skip some of these defensive. You guys can still see him, but I'm going to just try to wrap this video up. Breece Hall, they like him over his rushing plus receiving yards, 79.5, 54.57% odds to hit. Tyler Shuck, 12.5 fantasy score. They like it over. We got Derrick Henry under 16.5 fantasy score, 54%. Another scary one. Tyrone Tracy rushing plus receiving yards, 68.5. They like it under, 54%. That makes sense because Tyrone Tracy sucks. I'm sorry, he sucks. This is Cam Scattaboo town over here, Cam Scattaboo country. Michael Pittman, over 4.5 receptions. Tyrone Tracy doesn't suck that bad. I'm just a huge Cam Scattaboo fan. I got a little rivalry going with Jordy because he has Tracy and I have Scattaboo, so had to talk a little bit of trash. Michael Pittman over 4.5 receptions, 53.85% odds to hit the over. Sure, that's low. Again, it comes down to Daniel Jones. I don't want any sort of re-injury in the game, and then your slips are all cooked. Joe Flacco, 232.5 passing yards. Makes sense to me. 53.81%. As long as he's starting, Jalen Hurts, over 7 rush attempts. They like it. 53.71% odds to hit. We got Sam Darnold, pass attempts under. Yeah, maybe they're going to be leading by like 1 million points by the fourth quarter. 28.5, 53.65% odds to hit the under. Justin Jefferson also sucks. Just kidding. 5.5 receptions. Yeah, it's not his fault. It's just JJ McCarthy is looking like a bust. 53.63% odds to hit. And not all wide receivers are quarterback proof, and Justin Jefferson, unfortunately, is not quarterback proof. Joe Flacco, passing touchdowns, over 1.5, 53.58% odds to hit. Greg Dortch, fantasy score. Yup. They like it. Decent amount of juice. I'm telling you guys, Dortch, Michael Wilson, and Trey McBride are going to get a ton of work this week. 6.5, they like it. 53.43% odds to hit. Hunter Henry, under receptions. I'm not on board with this one because he's got a soft matchup here. 3.5. Yeah, maybe he doesn't get it a lot. I mean, Pinnacle's got it in minus 132 to go under, so I could be totally wrong about this. But I think that he's got a soft matchup here. 53.42% odds to hit, minus 132, hitting the under, but tight ends have been eating in this matchup. Nick Folk kicking points, 5.5 under, 53.38%, minus 132. Brandon McManus, they don't like his kicking points either. They got it under 7.5, 53.26%. Ramondre Stevenson, under his rushing yards, 39.5, 53.24%. I don't know. I think this is a soft matchup no matter who is going for it. They don't think TreVeyon's getting in the end zone. Come on. 0.5 touchdowns. They got it favored under. Rushing, receiving touchdowns, 53.19%. We'll see about that. Javonte Williams, under 2 receptions, 53.17% odds to hit the under, minus 132. Yeah, he's a bum. Alvin Kamara, rush attempts, under 15.5. We're just getting into a bunch of unders here. Let's go over to Underdog. Let's see what things are looking like on Underdog here. Don't forget to like the video, my friends. Help me get this out to the world. So we got to switch this up. We'll go back to NFL only. And once again, code BACKDOOR, 25% off if you want this for yourself. All right, what's good, Underdog? Let's see. We got a kicking points up top. Harrison Mavis, I guess is how you say it. Kicking points, 7.5. They like it over by a lot. 56.65% odds to hit, minus 155. Jonathan Taylor, another under I'm not willing to gamble on, but they think it's going under, 18.45. I do think that the focus is going to be JT, but I mean, I don't know. And then if Daniel Jones does have some issues, if he does get, maybe one rough hit might mess up the fibula situation again, and maybe they got a backup coming in. I don't even know who the backup is out there. I don't remember. But 56.54% odds to hit the under for JT. And you would think like, oh, they got to rely on the run if the backup quarterback comes in. No, then the defense knows that too. So it can get messy quick if you lose your starter. Devontae Adams, under 5.5 receptions, 56% odds to hit, minus 147. Kyron Williams, 13.65 under fantasy score, 55.33% odds to hit. Trey McBride, I beg to differ, 16.45% odds to hit the under on Underdog. Remember, Underdog is also half point PPR, so the lines do look different. So yeah, you don't get that full point per reception like Prizepicks. 55.13% odds to hit the under. Rico Dowdle, fantasy score. It's Monday, but I disagree. But I mean, like I've been taking the over on Rico the last couple of weeks and it hasn't been cashing. So, but he hasn't been 100%. We just want to catch it right when he's back at 100% because he is the bell cow there now in Charlotte, and he's the running back. He's their running back of the future. Mark my words. They're going to give him a contract. 15.75% odds to hit the under. 54.73%. See, I like that matchup though against San Francisco. So I don't know about that. Jared Goff, under his fantasy score, 18.85, 54.73% odds to hit the under. A lot of unders right now. Derrick Henry, under 15.95%, 54.62% odds to hit the under. Another guy I'm just like, it's scary taking that under. Rashee Rice, under 15.25%. 15.25 fantasy score, 54-ish% odds to hit the under. Jacoby Brissett, yes, we're taking this over all day, all night. 35.5 pass attempts. Yep. 54.54%. You just got to keep in mind, you do deal with some correlation. So you got to choose. I mean, if you don't mind the correlation, you want like a low multiplier when you're stacking these guys, it's sure. But if you take Jacoby pass attempts and then you're also taking Trey McBride, Dortch, Michael Wilson, they're not going to give you a big multiplier or even a regular multiplier. It's going to be low. So if you are taking, plays that are not related to the Cardinals and you want to take this and you want your full multiplier, you should be good to go because he's going over 35.5. That's for sure. Kenneth Gainwell, under fantasy score. I don't know. He's been hot lately. It makes me nervous. 8.05 is the line, and then 54% odds to hit the under. Just depends on the shape that Jaylen Warren is in, if he's back fully healthy or not, but Gainwell's been balling. Jahmyr Gibbs, 18.05 fantasy score. They don't like it, 54.48%. Matthew Stafford over his fantasy score. Dude's been balling. 21.55 is the fantasy score line. 54.36% odds to hit the over. We'll do a couple more and we're going to wrap up, guys. Shedeur Sanders, rush yards, under 20.5, 54.34% odds to hit the under. Lamar Jackson, under his fantasy score of 21.45, 54%. And then Cam Ward, longest rush, they like it over 5.5, 54% odds to hit the over. That's going to do it. Man, I give you guys so much information. And I know that other channels probably give you like less because they want you to just join their Discord or something. I want you to join the Discord, but I just like hanging out with you guys and doing this. So I'm not like trying to withhold anything so you'll come join the Discord. But if you want to come join our community, that's all down below. But yeah, I mean, we cover all of this stuff because I feel like a lot of you guys enjoy it, and so I do it. But I appreciate you tuning in, guys. Don't forget, if you use any of my codes, hit me up in the email below and I'll just throw you a month in the Discord. Come hang out. But yeah, don't forget to like the video. Show me a little bit of love. If you feel like it, hype it up for me. Hit that hype button as well. And then drop me a comment if you have any questions about plays. I'll try to look it up with my tools and I'll get back to you in the comments. But I hope you guys have a blessed Sunday. Go to church. I'll be at church and then we can get into some football after. But if that's your type of thing, that's my type of thing. So I'm going to be at church in the morning. Then I'm going to relax and watch football all day. So have a blessed one, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.